Okay, we are officially live. Those in the chat, I'm just gonna assume that y'all can hear me. I already did the sound check, but if y'all can't hear me or something's coming through kind of janky, just let me know and we'll see what we can do about that. But I want to welcome y'all to the Q&A that we're going to be having for this month in terms of the app lifestyle. We're going to be talking about Postmates deliveries and how well, they're all on Uber Eats nowadays, but they're handled a little bit differently than the standard Uber Eats deliveries per se. Now, I don't have too many Postmates deliveries in my neck of the woods because Postmates was kind of dying before they got bought by Uber. So later on, I'm gonna be bringing on a special guest, Ramon, to talk a little more in depth because he's gotten a lot more of them in his market. But we're gonna talk about that and any questions y'all have about delivery apps in general, Uber Eats, DoorDash, whatever, anything. Feel free to ask them. And if you have any questions about freelancing, if you're trying to get something else started as well, hey, I'd love to help you out in any way I can with that as well. So with that being said, we're gonna give maybe about a minute or two for people to start coming in the room. But unless you've been living under a rock, Postmates was bought by Uber Eats some time ago, and they gradually started phasing Postmates orders to go on the Uber platform. In fact, the whole Postmates fleet app is about to disappear, and I don't remember the exact date, but it's under a month, so the fleet app isn't even going to be a thing. So all Postmates orders are going to be on Uber Eats. That should be interesting, but since these orders are handled a little differently, it is important for us to know the dynamics of them. And when they come your way, you can just be a little more prepared if you do choose to do them. So while people are coming in, I also want to mention that do have a not budgeting, but the key to making the most money and really keeping track of your earnings is just that you got to keep track of your earnings and learn what you can get away with in your market. So I've designed a budgeting template. Well, not really a budgeting template. It's more of a monthly earnings spreadsheet to be able to track exactly how much you're making, put in all the expenses that us drivers typically have, like gas, and be able to deduct your mileage in terms of seeing how much taxes you're going to owe. And most importantly, in my opinion, all you got to do is put in the data. It's going to tell you what's your average delivery amount that you're making per delivery. Then you can kind of determine what you can get away with your market. See, a lot of people just say, hey, don't ever drop below $1 per mile, and that's good advice. But in a lot of markets, mine included, you can get away with $2. You can get away with $2 per mile if you know what you're doing. And sometimes it's $1.50 per mile. You need to know what you can get away with in your market so you know which orders to accept and which ones to reject. You can just put the info in that spreadsheet and they'll just work wonders to let you know where you stand. But with that being said, this is a Q&A, so if at any point you have any questions, just drop them in the chat and we'll be sure to address them. With the introduction out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and bring on Ramon. What's up, Ramon? Can you hear me?
Hi, Elijah. Nice to see you again.
Same here. How things going over there in California?
Well, it's warm like a lot of places, but as far as the Uber Eats is concerned, I'd say it's modestly busy. I'm satisfied.
Right. Yeah, usually, and I'm going to get into this later in the stream, but usually it's a little slower in July because most people are out of town. People are in France or Paris or wherever they go to vacation. So they're not at home like delivering. So it tends to get a little slow in July and even like the last half of June, but it starts to pick back up in August. But that was pre-pandemic. More people on these apps now, so like that could be nullified. If it is in your market, awesome. More power to you.
Yeah, I think that, when you refer back just to within the last year or two, we definitely are in a situation where we now don't really have anything to compare it to because there was such a boost, if you will, in delivery once the pandemic started. So I think some of the consolidation that you're seeing a little bit, what we're talking about today, I think, with Postmates and also you mentioned the fleet app, but I'll also call it the fleet of drivers out there, right? There always wants to be a lot of discussion amongst drivers. Oh, there's too many drivers out there, or whatever their argument is. You see them on some of the posting forums, similar to yours, Elijah. Some people are trolls, some are haters, but nonetheless, I guess that they hold their spot too, because it might discourage some people from wanting to participate as uh, a gig carrier. But I think anyone who actually puts in the time and knows what they're doing. You talk about mile, dollars per mile. I mean, now it's got to be. Don't get me wrong. There's always a spot for someone who needs to hustle, and that's why. Hey, if someone's not token on the back end of the app, but you need to pick up $3 and $4 jobs because you're just going at it one day. Hey, sometimes you need that too, and you just got to bite the bullet. But I'm a cherry picker, so I'm sitting here, talking to you, looking at the app, see if anything good came through while we're chatting. But you should be able to make that calculation, especially as helpful. There's a lot of criticism sometimes of our Uber Eats app, and in the past, we didn't know where we were going when we'd pick up the things. Things are pretty clear now. If you're dealing to a specific market, like I said, I'm a cherry picker serving one specific corridor that I focus in on, and I know my shops. I know, my delivery points as well. Am I going to the apartment section of town? Am I going to the rural section of town? How to get in, how to get out with a certain shop. You know that some shops are going to be ready and some shops you got to wait for. So that's all in the decision making process. And I don't know if I'm the best decision maker. I'm on a gig app, but that's what I kind of enjoy also about doing it, is making that decision. Do I want to take this one or not? And I think that's what pays off in the end, is making the right decisions. It's kind of weird.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, especially you mentioned the days where we couldn't see where we were going and things like that. Oh, don't you miss those days? Yeah, not really. But yeah, with all that information, we really want to take advantage and really calculate. Okay, is this delivery worth my time or is it not? And we have different thresholds based on what's going on. Uh, During a busy time of the year, we're kind of spoiled. We may not take certain things, but if there's no activity or you're just going to sit out there and not be doing anything, that's where you might want to go ahead and lower your expectations a little so you can be making money. But the point is that you have an awareness of what we just mentioned. That way you can get the most out of your situation, whatever it may be.
Yeah, and I don't know. I kind of hang out here in my headquarters. I'm like watching a lot of ball games. For example, today I got several games I'm watching, and you know, I when you go back and forth, if you're gonna kind of stay in one place too, I like to hang out and wait for some calls. And I know that some people are gonna go to a spot, make a delivery, and then kind of go gravitate back towards the center. That's because they want to knock out a lot of trips and things like that. I kind of like settle in for the day and just take the trips that I want. So maybe that's just my peculiarity when it comes to that. But we still have to make those right decisions. And like you said, you just want to aim for that over $1 a mile every time, and also making it worth your time, because you can make it lucrative per hour for all the criticisms that you want to hear about with people. Oh, your wear and tear on your car, the gas that you're gonna burn up. Yeah, you got to factor that in. You get your write-offs. We know that too, but again, you can really get it up there. Above, you can get it above 25 or 30, really, with some good concentration, and maybe even higher.
Hmm. Nicely put. But with that being the case, that's a good opportunity for us to hop into the topic of the Q&A. Let me see if I can pull this up. Uh, why is this being difficult? Okay, let's try this. Share screen. And there we go. So everyone, you should be able to see what's on my screen right now. There we go. Nice. So this is a Postmates delivery that's actually on the Uber Eats platform. And to my knowledge, Ramon, as these requests are coming in, have they stayed looking like this or have they changed at all?
I would say, and again, this is a picture of a order that I sent to Elijah, about maybe a month ago. So the appearance of the order has maybe changed a little bit. I do not get any text above at the top there. You see the store Giant Bronx Pizza,
Hmm.
and then underneath that Postmates order that does not appear anymore. And now under where you see John's name, uh, you see the order there. I don't know if Postmates always used a little 3-digit code. I'm Uber Eats all the way. I'm considering DoorDash more as we're going along here, but I'm Uber Eats all the time. So underneath there now, the code looks exactly like an Uber Eats order in my market anyway. Your market's made different. We know there's still idiosyncrasies with the apps all over, but
Right.
uh, the code now looks exactly like an Uber Eats code, and the Postmates is actually in parentheses, I believe, every time. So
Hmm.
when I report to the uh, restaurant, I really just say Uber Eats. I've rarely had to say Postmates. If there looks like any confusion with the restaurant person, I might, try to say, "Hey, is Postmates?" But it seems like under Uber Eats now, and mostly, I think that the Postmates app, you mentioned the Fleet app going away. I think that if anything, you said you knew the date or you didn't know about the date, but I would think the longer they could actually stretch it out is probably still more money and more lucrative. I know that it's all the drivers now. We're all Uber Eats drivers doing it, right? But
Hmm.
you just think if that app goes away, there's going to be that slightest percentage. Yes, after a while, they would have to determine, hey, this is not worth the money anymore, so shut it down. But you just got to think not everyone orders delivery, even though we might all have our regulars that we might even go to a couple of times a week or more if you do it like I do. Uh, Still, there are people that aren't going to open that delivery app maybe once every couple of months. And so if it's still there and they know how to use it as Postmates, then they don't have to download Uber Eats. We all know that when you join a new anything, right? A platform, a delivery gig app, or similar apps that are merging together. I don't know, the dating apps. You just got to learn something new, right, Elijah? You got to learn how that one works. And so sometimes you're like, I really want to eat food. I don't want to enter my credit card, things like that. So I
Right.
think right now, I would say for the driver, it's very, very seamless to us. I don't see any uh, hangups anymore or anything like that. I think it's all good on our end, and it's just going to stay out there until all the Postmate app is shut down. Right? I'm going to see a few more.
Yeah, and we won't know this part until the app is actually shut down. But I am kind of curious, like once the app is shut down, the extra information they're giving us as far as they're letting us know this is a Postmate delivery, is that going to vanish with it, or are they going to keep letting us know these are different type of orders? Because in terms of the handling, are there any extra steps that you found you have to take anytime you get a Postmates order, or is it pretty much the same as a standard Uber Eats order, just with this different text?
Yeah, uh, I think that everything to me just looks like another order now, and it will
Hmm.
just say Postmates, similar to it does there, and it just makes me be alert that there may be some confusion. Oh, here, okay, I'll give you this one example, Elijah, and I believe it's actually been corrected, or maybe I've seen it just occasionally. But when the transition to the Postmates first started, all of the orders appeared to say wait in car. And many of
Mm.
the Postmates uh, customers, I would say, they might have
Yeah.
always had, a deliver to door setup. Like maybe when the conversion first started, there was a default to wait in car. The first several that I did, when I went to the location, I was assuming wait in car. And this was, post start of the pandemic, where we all started to expect to deliver to door. When the pandemic started, the first week or two, people were kind of coming out to the car. Seemed like after that, and for history now, right? It's almost always that delivered to door with the picture. It's a great service, actually. It's a
Mhm.
tremendous improvement over just a year and a half ago, maybe, when it was either delivered to car or even a handoff at the door. The ability to
Uh-huh.
put that picture in and things like that. I mean, I think it's a real good service. You know, the touchless delivery as well, and you're able to alert them and send a little note, which, man, that little note is, that's the one where you get that extra tip on there. Just say something business like, man, thank you very much, have a nice day, enjoy the Bronx pizza, and great to serve you, boom, something, something like that. So
For
it,
everyone listening, that's a great tip because most drivers they just click confirm photo or whatever, and then you'll complete the delivery. If you just have a standard text saved in your phone saying like, "Hey, thank you for ordering with Uber Eats. I hope you enjoy. Have a nice day," something like that. It does go a long way, trust me, and it doesn't cost you anything extra to do, especially if you already have the message like I do saved in your phone, like in the notes somewhere.
yeah, see, and I just use voice recognition because I'm lazy. Sometimes
Oh,
you got
there's that too.
sometimes you got to double check it because you could say something, and it might look wrong. Whoops,
Right.
that cost me. But I really think that is where you know, there is only so many things that we can do. I mean, they are very limited in how to. As much as we enjoy and think a great tip, I mean, we deserve a $3 and $4 and $5 tip or something like that, right? Which, hey, you know what? The tips aren't bad sometimes with Uber Eats because we're picking and choosing the deliveries that we want to take. We know if we're not getting a boost on there, we kind of know what we're getting, and so we know what kind of tip that we're going to get on the back end of this if we do the job that's expected. And there's only so many things that we can do when we drive to a shop, pick the stuff up, and make the delivery. I mean, there's not a lot of options for us, so that's a
Yeah.
big option when you do that. And then maybe that's why I kind of customize the text too. Like I said, I got so many regulars. It's just like kind of like, hey, great to serve you again. I
Hmm.
always enjoy the drive up here. Just something like that. Nothing too personal that would ever get misconstrued as offensive because you'd be surprised. I one time, Elijah, I'll get back on our subject. I told the guy, he had a great thing of shakes, but he had a long trip. Whipped cream maybe didn't quite look like it did when I left the restaurant, right? But I waited in the car for him because it was a waiting car. And I said to him, hey, I could only wait so long trying to save your whipped cream. But he
Hmm.
immediately thought I was saying, hey, man, I had to wait here a really long time. And I was just trying to make light of the situation because I had the air conditioning on. I'm trying to save the guy's whipped cream. He thinks I'm saying, hey, I've been waiting a long time for you to come out and get these shakes, buddy.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. Like, we definitely want to make sure that whatever you're saying is going to be taken in a way that can't be taken offensively in any form or fashion. And there's a learning curve there sometimes. So I wish people weren't so sensitive nowadays, or they could pick up on what we're trying to say. But it is what it is.
No, you're showing your age, Elijah. So when we corresponded a month ago on this, and I was getting Walmart delivery orders, did you reference them? And maybe someone in the chat can let us know. I don't know if I'm seeing the comments or no one's commented yet, but was the Walmart delivery part of the uh, Postmates fleet before, and then I started to see Uber Eats and took those right away. And after a little bit of encouragement from my own Facebook forum out here in San Diego, I was unsure about taking the Walmart deliveries, knowing that it was going to be grocery delivery. I had seen some complainers already, oh, all these bags upstairs, condos, 3 stairs, whatever.
Hmm.
A couple of the drivers that post in the forums had some great comments. I said, you know what, I'm going to take some of these. For about 2 weeks straight, it was terrific. Picking up these orders between 12 to 17, sometimes $20, and then like clockwork 24 hours later, usually a 9, 10, or $11 tip on the back end. And I was like, man, this is a game changer. If
Hmm.
the if what, and then I had sent that to you, and I had we had some miscommunication. Maybe I said, Elijah, I'm getting these Walmart deliveries and this is great. And since then, interestingly, it's kind of died down for me. And I think what's happened here is I think that they're very lucrative offers that people are gravitating towards the Walmart stores to be ready for these orders because they happen at a specific time of the day because the orders have already been placed. And I'm just missing out because I'm being lazy and chilling at home.
Hmm. Well, I can speak for and anyone in the chat. Feel free to chime in. But Postmates was always, it was never a strictly like food delivery app. It was more so a delivery service. So people would order food. Well, they branched into food lastly. It started out like you would get stuff from like Home Depot or like construction materials, stuff like that. And then they branched out into food. Then they branched out into liquor. But they never got rid of that. Like, hey, you can go inside like any store and put in what you want. The driver has your list. They're going to pay for it with the Postmates credit card and then bring it to you. They never dropped that model. Towards the end of their cycle, before they got bought from Uber, they did start to really prioritize food, but they never completely got rid of that. Hey, go into any kind of retail store, buy it, and we'll get it for you. So my guess is when they ported over everything over to Uber Eats, maybe they decided to keep that grocery side because I guess they decided to keep the Walmart side because I know you could. It was pretty typical for people shopping in Postmates to go into Whole Foods or go into a Sprouts or go into a Walmart. But you said you specifically kept seeing Walmart orders, so maybe they decided to
Oh,
keep
no, I started taking them. I started taking them.
right.
They were
But
great.
like, but you never saw any other grocery store, did you? Like, you didn't see a Whole Foods or
Oh, no,
Sprouts
no,
or like
no,
a Aldi's or anything like that.
no, no, no. And
Hmm.
you had mentioned that's where I thought our miscommunication was. I said, "Oh, hey, I'm getting these WalMarts," and you had said something like, "Hey, I think it's part of the Postmates conversion," and I was like, maybe, but I thought Uber Eats and Walmart just started to agree to it now or whatever, and when I took those orders, unlike the food orders where it said Postmates, it didn't say Walmart with Postmates. Now, it could be completely different, obviously, because one's a grocery store and the others are restaurants. So, I'm not sure about that either. But
Hmm.
I just went to my expert, man. I called you because I was like, hey, wow, are people getting these Walmart deliveries nationwide with Uber Eats? And how big of a deal is it? Like I said, I haven't received one in over 2 weeks now, and I kind of
Mm-hmm.
sad. I thought Walmart and I had a thing going. I mean, a couple times a day, two different places, uh, two different WalMarts within my jurisdiction that I felt comfortable delivering to, and yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, what people complain about, or some people complain about, it's true. Sometimes you have to lug 36 bottles of water up a couple of flights of stairs. But people know what they're doing. I mean, they're paying for the Walmart. If anybody's ever ordered Walmart delivery, I think it's $7.99 or $9.99, depending on what time of day and how many days in advance you want to get the order. So you got to figure some
Right.
of that money is built into paying Uber Eats to take those jobs, right? Well, the Walmart jobs are more than that. Uh, I noticed, like I said, they
Hmm.
were between $12 and $17, even higher in the beginning. It's kind of like Uber maybe sent out higher offers and then lowered them a little bit, but and that was noticed by the drivers complaining about, hey, wow, it started as $21 and now it's only 15. Well, maybe they were just trying to make sure that drivers got over there to check it out. 21's great. I got some of those when went down to kind of 15, and maybe it
Hmm.
has to do with the amount purchased too, or right, and things like that. Some of the orders were just a couple of bags, while some were 20 bags, things like that. So yeah, there was some labor involved, but every single one. I mean, I think it was 100%, Elijah. If not, it was 95% because I only ended up doing about 25 of them, and they were just so lucrative that I'm like, wow, I'm done with work. It's like 10:30 in the morning, and I've made
Mm-hmm.
4 Walmart trips, and I've got $90. I mean, granted, some people want to go all day, make $200, whatever you need. I only like to, $100. I'm fine, right? To take a day, watch the games, do whatever I want to do what I need to do, right? That's why we do this. But
Right.
like I said, after about 2 weeks, I have not received one since. And I just think, I don't think that service has stopped. I've asked my forum, but all I got was a bunch of troll comments about,
I think I think I
why
may
not.
have solved this mystery. And Alan, I see your comment. Postmates killed Uber Eats. If you could expand on that, like how did Postmates kill Uber Eats? We'd love to get into that because it's no doubt Postmates orders being on Uber Eats is going to have an effect, and that effect could vary from market to market. And if you feel it's negative in your market, we'd love to hear you expand on it because that's something that should be talked about. But I think what happened was a few weeks ago, this new app called Cornerstone popped on the market, and they were acquired by Uber about a year and some change ago. But well, they had bought 50% of their company about a year and some change ago. But here recently, they had acquired 100% of it. And I do know that on the customer end, Uber Eats customers had the option in select markets to order from Corner Shop, and that's specifically for grocery delivery. And I know in certain markets on Uber Eats, you could opt in the Corner Shop to get grocery deliveries. Maybe in your market, they just auto opt in everyone, and you were getting those deliveries until they officially made a new app just for Cornerstone. Because now Cornerstone has its own app. It's a separate grocery shopping service that's supposed to be competing with Instacart and Shipt. So it might not have even been related to the Postmates thing. It might have just been that Corner Shop. Now that I'm thinking about it, because I'm looking at the timeline and like everything is lining up based on what you told me.
And I will say this, I don't know if I was able to convey it or it was already assumed, but these Walmart deliveries, I mean, all the items are already pre-shopped by the stores and they just
Mm.
come out and, bring the 10 bags and you'd take usually two at a time. A lot of
Mm.
times it wasn't ever a double order. It was like clockwork, man. 740, here it comes, diddle-a-ding, diddle-a-ding. There's my $15 Walmart. Okay, I'm on the way. I get halfway up the hill, diddle-a-ding, diddle-a-ding, take another one for another 12 bucks. Okay, no problem. So now I'm on
Huh.
my way. They would put one order in the very back of the trunk, one order in the back seat. They say, I don't know, but to have separate compartments so the bags look alike, right? They have one sticker that says the person's name on it. And then you're off to two deliveries within typical, reasonable proximity. Almost seems like for these that the two delivery, sometimes we get a little frustrated with our two food deliveries because we're holding such small orders or something like that, and maybe the payoff
Uh-huh.
isn't as big, right? For our two deliveries, if we get maybe we get 12 or 13, we're whatever, okay, I'll do it. And for the Walmarts, though, you knew you were already carrying, you were going to go $30 to $45 with these two items, a possible $75 or $80 trip, right there. One trip, boom, you're done
Huh.
within an hour or 90 minutes max, right? Because like I said, sometimes you're delivering a bunch of bags or whatever, but everything's pre-shopped, so I
This
would think
sounds this sounds a lot like Uber Rush. Everyone in the chat, back in now, you got to be you got to be in this industry for a while if you still remember what Uber Rush was. If y'all remember what Uber Rush was, type in a one in the chat. But Uber Rush is just like what you described. I, these orders, you still had to go in the store, right? Or did they bring
no.
everything to your car?
In fact, it's so convenient. I mean,
Because
because
that's exactly
I
how
had
Uber Rush happened. Yeah.
yeah, let me tell you, it's so convenient. I mean, I had my concerns, so I got in my forum, and I'm like, are anybody doing this? Is it weird? Because I don't want to go in. Yes, I had a couple of that were inside where it was a wait, and you're like, oh, is it people helping me? They don't even know what's going on. But
Mm-hmm.
the other 22 of them, you drive to a spot where there's six
Cool.
parking spots already set up and it has a little Walmart sign. This is the pickup spot. You call the phone number that's right there, or they're so attentive to it. A lot of times the person's like, hey, I'll just be with you in a second. Who do you got? You give them the names. They go in, they pull out like a dolly that they might bring your luggage in a hotel or something, and they have like 4 to 8 crates full of the gray Walmart shopping bags. They unload them into the two zones, send you on your way, and you're done. It's very streamlined. The Walmart employees, they do a great job on this.
Hmm.
Seems like they like doing their job too. I don't know if they have to shop the stuff. Uh, I don't know. It kind of seems labor intensive in a way, although it may be a money saver in the long haul. I think it's cheaper to pick their own groceries rather than people walking around through their store for a while. Although when you're in the store, obviously people are apt to pick up more stuff. So I don't know about that.
Can't speak on the retail side, which side is more profitable. But I will say this: this sounds almost like Uber Rush verbatim. Like, think of what you just said, but it was like 3 to 4 years ago. Hmm. Yeah, I'm I'm at a loss. Maybe it was them playing around with Corner Shop. Maybe it was the Postmates integration. Maybe it's them beta testing what Uber Rush would be like nowadays. Well, I got honestly that's a mystery, and the fact that they've disappeared over the last two
Just
weeks.
to me, maybe Elijah. Maybe it's just me. Like I said, I
Hmm,
am quite a ways away from these. And if there was some scuttlebutt among drivers about maybe don't take these because they're hard or something like that, all they had to do was go there and do it one or two times to see. Like I said, I think I'm just being moved out of the market because I'm not going to the location. I think
hmm,
people are actually maybe they're not. Maybe what you say is right too. That maybe it's I wouldn't say disappeared at all. I just feel like I've chosen because I don't go right there. I think they
right.
found out here's a $30 to $45 job every single day minimum, and all I got to do is be in proximity at. It was like clockwork 7:20, 7:40, 8 o'clock, 8:20. It was like 20-minute increments. I'd go do a set, come back, eat a McGriddle or some things that I stopped off for, and turn it back on. And 5 minutes later, Walmart delivery might be the one that's about 2 miles south. I'll call it 4 miles south of me. Might be the one that's 4.5 miles kind of northeast of me. I just go there and do it again. So I think people might have discovered that they are quite lucrative, despite a little extra labor that you might have to put into it. Um, I don't know. I pressed my group a little bit, the Facebook group that I'm with, but like I said, really just trolls. No good
Right.
no good answers.
Yeah, they got to get that trolling in somewhere, unfortunately. Hmm.
Hey, like
Um.
I said, I mean, it kind of works both ways. If people want to complain, I love the people that are complaining about if they're a driver and the things that go wrong. Because I could see where if you don't, if everything's not perfectly laid out, like to me it is. I mean, look, the app's not perfect to a certain extent, but it is perfect in a way. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit, and there are little glitches that happen all the time. But
hmm,
considering, I don't know, maybe because I'm in my 50s, that it seems amazing to me the technology in a way. I mean, it's kind of always interesting to go in, especially to the mom and pop shops, right? And see how
hmm,
they operate with their apps
hmm.
when they're my age or even older, like a restaurant, a private restaurant where it's a family owned shop and they have their 3 or 4 tablets up there or whatever. It's always interesting.
Right. And so, everyone in the chat, if y'all have experienced any of these grocery orders, like let us know what your experience has been. And also, if you've encountered any of these Postmates orders on the Uber Eats platform, has your experience been like, oh, Elijah, it's pretty much the same. There's not really any difference. Or have you noticed any difference with these Postmate orders? Because the one question y'all have been asking, I don't know the answer, but I'm curious to find out myself. The Postmates orders that would involve the Postmates card, when Postmates orders start appearing on Uber Eats, like did those orders just kind of vanish into the wind? Like, okay, or are they going to try and integrate that on the Uber Eats platform in some form? And if they are, how do you feel about that? Are you strictly like, hey, look, I don't want the card, I don't want any of that stuff. I like the fact that on Uber Eats we just go and pick it up and show them the order. Uh,
Okay. Yep.
Spy the mark. I did Postmates order on Uber Eats. It's exactly the same. Okay, so
I
it looks
would.
like
I'd agree with that.
they're pretty much just going to stick because Postmates, a lot of their orders were just like Uber Eats before the merger. You would just go show them the order number and pick it up, and then they had the Postmates tablet. Everything was kind of standard, but like easily half of the orders, they didn't have the tablet, and you need to go and pay with the Postmates debit card. Oh, Walgreens! I did my first Walgreens order for Uber the other day.
Now, was that a shop? Maybe Spider Mark can, or maybe you know already, Elijah. But is that a shop order? Is that a a shop order, or one that is already pre-picked by the company? Do I just go in and pick up the Walgreens and hey, here we go.
The Walgreens order was just like DoorDash, but without the pictures. Interesting.
Okay.
And it was a shop order.
Okay, so yeah, and I have started to hear about those as well. They have started offering a card out here. The results have been mixed in the Facebook chat. In fact, some people are saying it's going away already. Thank goodness. So I would not participate myself in shopping, and I have not. I think the offer for the card actually came up through the app, and I denied it. The same with when the Postmates started with their card. One of the reasons I went with Uber Eats was there wasn't the Postmates had the card payment method and things like that. So getting some more comments from Spida.
I had to use Google to look up the item pictures on my phone. Okay, now that's pretty janky on Uber's end. I mean, come on. Wow. Okay, I think it's safe to say this is definitely in beta. Something like that. That's really unacceptable. Yeah.
I have seen similar comments to that though on some of those shop orders, and like I said, I
Hmm.
mean, look, I get into talk. I don't necessarily want to talk other than with you, my friend. But people do like to talk about gig acts, especially people that don't do it and want to ask you questions. Right? So if people want to go and do, you know, those Instacart, I mean, and they got a $20 tip, and it only took 40 minutes. That's great. That's great. I'm glad for you. I don't. It's not for me. I don't think I'll be doing that, but I don't mind some of these other stores doing it the way like the Walmarts. And one of the more popular ones, I'll let you read this one too, but one of the ones that's really gotten popular out here is Elijah is 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven,
Well,
with the alcohol delivery too. We can talk about that,
yeah.
but 7-Eleven, that's real easy. They pick it all for you and just hand you the beautiful 7-Eleven bag. Looks like a Kardashian bag.
Everyone's trying to get a piece of that 7-Eleven. Hold that thought. The shop orders for DoorDash are clutch for me. $10 for one or three items for like under a mile. That's good in my book. Oh
Okay.
yeah, definitely. You're
Oh yeah.
coming ahead in terms of effort and also in terms of time.
Oh yeah. If I have to go into a Walgreens and pick up some NyQuil and some Sprite, I think I know what I'm getting into, right? Better get a good tip out of that.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, Ramon, I don't want to keep you too long, but maybe
Appreciate you.
like if you have 5 more minutes, you mentioned the Uber alcohol because that's
Yes.
something
Okay.
that's
Let's talk about that, and
yeah.
we can wrap it up with me. But it's been very interesting so far. And do you have any specific question about it, or I can talk to you about my experiences?
We can go into the experiences because I'd imagine like any question I would ask is going to be answered by the experiences. Because like most people have a question like, "Hey, do I need to take a picture of a person's ID? Because that's standard protocol for delivering alcohol. And when I pick up the alcohol, do I need to show the cashier my ID? Stuff like that."
Yeah, and Spida had a few more comments. I'm gonna go back, not to the other conversation, unless you think it's kind of funny. Made a little joke down there, and you guys could see it in the chat. Maybe we'll revisit it. But so Elijah, I actually, have a little bit of, and most of the, you can tell. I mean, other than the fact that sometimes it's like, discount liquor. What's going to be picked up at that store, right? If it's one of your liquor stores, right? But some of the
Yeah.
7-Elevens, sometimes it's liquor, sometimes it's not. Sometimes you get a boatload of candy for some kids ordering off of mom's app from 7-Eleven. I promise you that's happened many times. Not that they're doing it, behind her back. I'm just saying
Right.
mom said, "Hey, what do you want?" And I've got a bag of candy, and I'm like Santa Claus. But when you go and pick up the alcohol at these, locations, some of the stores maybe they're unfamiliar with it. I've had to present my ID on occasion, but I don't think we are required to pick that up. But I don't have a problem. I always have it with me just in case, just to make it fast and smooth. When you get to the location, it's always going to be a meet at door because that's I think they have maybe I don't think you can wait in car and come out. Maybe it is, but whatever the case may be, you're never going to leave it at the door, right? So you
Right.
meet the person. This has actually improved dramatically, and I've only done maybe a couple dozen of them. So, maybe people have more experiences than I do, but you get to the location, and at first it was a little bit difficult. You'd have to like use a wheel selector on your phone and find the date and match the date.
Hmm.
It seemed to be like almost a 3 or 4 step process that really kind of make you feel almost awkward. You know, you have your
Like
mask on back then a little bit more.
having to
Maybe
stand there and
you
do all
walked.
this, and you're just standing like in front of them while you're doing. I was like, man, there's so many steps. I'm just standing here like feeling awkward, right?
Yeah, I've walked a little bit. I'm breathing heavy. I'm old, whatever. But it's so improved now. I mean, I just did one. I couldn't remember one just either yesterday or the day before. Went, picked it up at 7-Eleven, a couple of boxes of White Claw, got right to the house. Customer was ready, knew, that helps too. If they've done it once or twice before, or they're just aware, you do have to select, does the recipient appear sober? Okay.
Hmm.
That's for you to judge. That's really the only decision really that you have to make. Then
Hmm.
when they give you your ID, you can look at it. I don't think there's anything that I can do, whether I look at it or not. It really is not going to matter, right? Unless you want to deny this person because it is obviously not them, and you should do that. If it doesn't look like them, you should refuse it, report it, or whatever. But
Hmm.
really, always, all it takes now for me anyway, or maybe it's different criteria for different people who've used it multiple times or something. You know how Uber is, but they just give you
Yeah.
the license. I can hold it, aim my phone. I'm holding the license. Maybe even you could see my thumb. Just shoot the picture. Within a minute, there is a little bit of delay. I don't know if there's, someone in the Philippines looking at a picture of an ID against my picture of an ID, right? Like some super secret Uber room, or if it's just likely storing it for review later in case there's a problem or something like that. Obviously, if there's some report of some incident, then they would go back, refer to it, look at the picture, look at the matchup or whatever. So that's probably on you to make sure. But again, to make that delivery, you're just taking the picture and basically, you know, you're not even giving them a greeting. It doesn't give you the photo or anything. It's just done. You're back to your Uber home screen. The transaction has
Hmm.
taken place, and you're on your way. And you've been standing there a minute anyways, so you're ready to roll.
Right.
Because you're a gig driver and you're ready to go to your next delivery. Don't want to spend too much at one location. But one thing I will say is that, you know, I always do when I know it's going to be a booze, I'm always going to factor in an extra few minutes when you're looking at your time and your distance. So take that into
Hmm.
consideration as well. And I don't know, maybe the time of day. I would say that maybe on a Friday night or Saturday night, if I'm doing some, I might pass on an alcohol delivery rather than if it's on a Tuesday at 2 p.m. I might be more apt to do it. So I think you can see what I'm getting at there. Maybe just
Yeah.
a little bit smoother of a transition. I've just noticed when I've gone to a place, if you're delivering at night, maybe they have already had a few cocktails. It's not so much that you feel like you're contributing to their delinquency or something, but you might just experience more delays, like waiting for them to come out, getting their ID together. This is what I've experienced, the delays with
Hmm.
maybe they don't appear. You're going to click no because they're being conversational, they're being nice. Maybe they've had a wine or two or whatever. You don't have a problem with it. They're not totally smashed and inebriated and can't even handle the delivery, right? But
Hmm.
you just know that you might experience some delays because they've got to get their ID, they're not responding to your text or things
Hmm.
like that.
Tying into what you mentioned, Tuesday and Friday analogy is pretty interesting. So, because most people know Tuesday is probably one of, if not the slowest day of the week for food delivery. Well, really, I would say the gig economy in general, versus a Friday is going to be very busy. So these alcohol deliveries, when you compare them to food deliveries, they just might generally take longer because of the things that you mentioned. So with that being the case, everything is sizzling on Friday. It's kind of like, well, I have this alcohol delivery. but things are already going good. I could just decline and wait for another food delivery to come if it's that busy, versus when it's slower, it's like, let me go ahead and grab this alcohol delivery real quick.
I think the people who are ordering some booze, and we, like we said, a lot of times we see our tip kind of in advance, right? And I think that
Right.
you can easily make a determination that you might have someone who is a professional recipient of some fine alcohol, rather than some people just getting some beer delivered that you can already see the tip's not even built in or whatever. And remember, you're taking the extra steps. We all feel like we want to be tipped well, $3, $4, $5 just for picking the stuff up and dropping it off, right? Hey, I have no problem with that too. I'm not being flippant. We're getting up off our butts or starting our cars and using our cars or whatever. So if I'm going to get some alcohol delivered, I'm probably wanting to tip, $5, $6, $7 at least, because I know that that driver is going to have to, take the extra steps to ask for my ID, greet with me, and then, hand over the booze or whatever. So.
Nicely put. Well, Ramon, I appreciate you coming on. We'll go ahead and open it up to general Q&A, and we'll give opportunity for anyone else who wants to jump on. I'll drop the link in the chat. And
Great to see you again.
yeah, great to see you.
I'm sure when we
So,
visit again, there'll be more new things when I see you again. Thanks a lot.
definitely be safe, be profitable.
Take care, Elijah. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Okay, everyone. So we're gonna transition into the general Q&A. If you have any questions about the gig economy, mainly food delivery apps, drop them in the chat. And if you want to, you can also join me live, and you can ask your question that way. Just drop that link. If it feels like posting, yeah, just post it, so we're good. But just right off the bat, just take everything that we talked about into consideration. But it looks like these Postmates deliveries are just going to become like standard Uber Eats deliveries. So when the fleet app disappears completely, I suspect it's just going to happen the same way that DoorDash handled Caviar. For those of y'all that don't know, DoorDash bought a food delivery company called Caviar, and they literally got rid of the driver app and then booted all Caviar deliveries onto the DoorDash app, so they'd be fulfilled by DoorDashers. Looks like the exact same thing is going to happen with Uber and Postmates. But I'll be honest, as far as them reintroducing like the card that you pay for orders on Postmates with, I'm not the biggest fan. I've never taken those orders on Postmates when I used to do it. I think it just adds unnecessary steps. I've always been a big fan of just picking the order up, and just that way. That's part of the reason when I was looking at all the apps when I was getting started, I chose Uber Eats to do, because it was just a standard pickup. There's no paying with the card or placing orders and none of that stuff. But y'all can let me know in the comment section how y'all feel about that. Like I said before, if anyone wants to hop on, we've been going for 52 minutes, so we'll go for an hour, then we'll call it quits, because just like y'all, I do want to grab some of that market share in my market as far as food delivery. I will say, if y'all are wondering if it's kind of slow in your market, keep in mind it's July. July every year is always slow because a lot of people are just out of town. They're visiting Spain, France, Germany, wherever. So they're not home to be placing orders. So it might be slower in July and even the last half of June, but it's going to pick up maybe towards the very end of July. And then when it gets to August, things will start turning like back to normal. Take that with a grain of salt, though, because the pandemic may have flipped those numbers in your market. You may be able to avoid the drought because there's still enough people placing orders because more people know about food delivery. If that's the case with you, more power to you. You avoided the drought. Good job. See if we have any more comments. Spark the Mark. I have an Android phone, so with the widget, I can see what they're ordering. Half the time it's candy or pregnancy tests, Walgreens orders. Oh, well, that's a good point. Like, it seems like if they're ordering the same thing, it should make like the shopping runs a lot faster because you know what to expect. like where it is and all that good stuff. So just more streamlines it. So that's cool. Let's see. I'm not seeing any more questions or comments. So we'll wait for probably about another minute. Then we'll go ahead and pack it up for today. And we'll hop into actually doing some deliveries. Let's see. Yeah, looks like we don't have too many more. Oh, Spider Mark, easy $10. I make for under a mile. Hey, grab that easy money. Spock the Mark, what do you prefer more, Uber or DoorDash? Uber Eats. But I've made it pretty known that I tend to prefer Uber Eats over all the other delivery apps because it's the most predictable. And one thing about DoorDash, they hide tips, and I'm not the biggest fan of that. Like they'll be saying like the tip could be higher, or yeah, they're basically trying to make you play Russian roulette or like guess at random. Like, hey, I see it's $9, but saying it could be higher. Maybe it is $11 or $12, and sometimes it is, but sometimes it isn't. I always make the decision based on what's in front of me. So if I see $9, I do the math on the $9. I don't speculate. Versus Uber Eats, everything is shown as far as how much you're going to get paid on the screen, with the exception of they can increase the tip. Now, technically, they can lower the tip too. I haven't ever encountered that. And they could probably take that function away. That'd be awesome. I don't think anyone should be able to mess with their tip unless it's going to increase. What I mean by that is you place the order, you shouldn't be allowed to decrease the tip. You should only be allowed to increase it. That doesn't make any sense. Spark the Mark, I agree with you on that. Yeah, especially in today's age, like I guess 3 years ago, they could probably get away with that. We're talking about DoorDash now in terms of not like being fully transparent about the tip. But DoorDash has always had a controversy about tips. For a while, they were accused of stealing driver tips, and now we got this going on. That's just too much for me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll still do it, but like Uber Eats is a lot better to me because all that is just isn't in the equation. I'll give credit where it's due. I think DoorDash was the first delivery food platform to show the drop off. So there's probably some peer pressure to kind of force Uber Eats to go along with that eventually. But that aside, I prefer Uber Eats. All right, everyone. I'm gonna go ahead and call it quits, so I can go and start making some money on Uber Eats myself. If you have any additional questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And I will catch y'all in the next stream or in the next video, rather, which will be either today or tomorrow. Some of y'all were the process for how to get your Uber Eats and Uber insurance. If you're having problems with your insurance getting uploaded on the Uber platform, some of y'all have told me like what y'all see in the app as far as getting them that information has changed. So I'll be making a updated video on that today or tomorrow. Keep your eyes peeled on that. Spider Mark, why is they just why is it that okay? What Grubhub does have the smallest market space, but they show you the whole payout? I don't know if Grubhub has the smallest marketplace. I think they're somewhere in the middle. As far as I know, Grubhub does show the whole payout, but they don't show what part is a tip, what part they're paying. I actually did a video on the Rideshare Guys channel, kind of explaining like comparing like the accept screens. Come to think of it, Grubhub might have been the first one to show the drop off. I'm not sure. They might have been. But in reality, guys, they should have been doing this stuff to start with. We're independent contractors. Just hiding information, they probably can get away with that in any other industry. and they're finally being forced to address it now. It should have been done from the well, was done from the start, and then they start hiding stuff. They're being forced to re-show us that information, I'll say. But with that being said, I'll say be safe, be profitable. I'll catch you on the next video. Peace out.